Hello and welcome. These are horse racing selections for Thursday, the 14th of December. I am Flat Cap Callum and I'm hoping you are all very, very well. Thursday coming up for you. Quiet, very quiet from my side. So 3 horses, 3 races. It's an each way Trixie. And they're all between 11 to 14 to 1, so nothing massive, and that's it, the extent. So £5 is the bet, so it is a quarter stake of the average stake. So after £24 busy day Wednesday, got a mere 5 down on Thursday. For the vid, we've got to do review of Wednesday, we'll do Thursday's bet, so that won't take very long. I've got the darts tonight, so as many times I've trailed, the darts is on tonight, so I've got my darts bet for the PDC World Championships, which starts Friday, and yeah, I've had a little bit of another go through it tonight and made one amendment to it. So there is a top quarters Yankee bet, unless you're putting it on with Betfred, which I'd advise doing it as Lucky 15. So we'll get to that, and then there's a separate bet which is only advisable to 2 bookies. That is what I've got for you, and then we'll do tips the league. And yeah, we only had nine profitable participants this week for tips the league, so we'll do that as well. So a few topics to get through. In my head there was a couple of other things I was going to say, but I'll see if I remember them as I go along. So what did we do on Wednesday? Well, profit and loss channel stats wise, it was poor. So we had a nice November. December started well, and now we've had 6 vids on the bounce with a negative figure, and we were 24 on £20.20 of loss. Yeah, so 380 back on Wednesday. So it wasn't good. Literally 1 horse framed for everybody out of the 13 selections. That is pretty atrocious. So yeah, way off strike rate. So strike rate, we would be looking for 4 of those to be getting placed. So it was a bit wayward. So let's run you through it. Bet 1, well, all of those horses, I think, at some point got to the front in their races, but they all faded quite badly. So 0 return from the afternoon, and that's all that can be said about that. It wasn't good. Then the Dundalk bet, not great. I mean, a lot of these went off shorter, but only Flyer, which was the big price over in Ireland, ran a decent race. It was second, backed into 16 to 1. So it was each way single back on Flyer, and that was your lot on that, and that was the only official return for the channel. Because the Kempton bet, where since I've started doing the stats staking plans a little bit differently since the beginning of September, it's not often I put a £1 each way single for the staking plan. I appreciate that, right? So some people are like some people follow it to the letter, and some people are like, don't try and big up. It's like £1 each way. You put £2 on a horse, like you were that confident, right? This doesn't reflect what I do in my personal staking. This is advisory for what I do for the channel to fit a set staking plan. So by channel standards, £1 each way single is a very big bet. So yeah, Ray de la Batella. Ray de la Batella. I mean, drifted to 150s, and some would have got on bigger than that. It ran a great race up from the front. Clearly, as I was hoping, they definitely were trying. Unfortunately, there were 3 too good for it. Sky Bet changed place terms, so they did pay out for 4th. They didn't advertise that the night before, but outright market, it wasn't good for anybody else. So Sky got a nice return off that. I mean, if you got SP on at 150s. Then you did all right out of that. You'd have made a nice profit on the bets. For most it was not the case, unless you then were playing in side markets and things. So yeah, 150. I mean, it doubled in price almost from 80s, which I think's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing with it is there was a horse that went off around about even money favourite that got really, really well backed in, and what it did is then it impacted the rest of the market. So it's not like that horse wasn't fancied. There was a real strong push for one horse, which pushed everything else upwards. But I could not believe the horse went off at 150 to 1. And yeah, I was very keen, as it may have may have come across or not, I don't know. But yeah, nothing back on that one. Yeah, personally, I mean, yeah, I had a bit of a wedge on the outright market. So yeah, bits and bobs I could inside markets, but the outright market, no return. I mean, the way that the plan was stacked, that was, that placing was enough to get a return for the day. And just to give context, so just give, I guess, a bit of an insight from a personal wagering point of view, because it's important. I know the horse didn't place for most of us, but it's a useful lesson in trying to flip what people's mindset is around betting. Personally, I put twice as much money on that horse than I did on any other horse I backed for Wednesday's racing. So just because it was a big price doesn't mean it wasn't a good horse. It was priced wrong and the market didn't get it right. It wasn't a rogie that you just looked at and thought, well, how did that get in there? Because that does happen. That horse was wrong. The market got it wrong, and the bookies got it wrong, is how I would describe that horse. Had it placed, I mean, probably outside of this channel, it would seem like not many other people would have actually got a return on that. But it had the most value. So I think last night in the video, I didn't say... I try and do that a little bit more now. I try and give you a bit of an indication about what price it was. I guess partly I didn't say last night because I didn't want people to get too excited, but I had that priced about 11s or 12 to 1. So when it was 80s, I was very excited. When it got to 150s, I was like, that's absurd. So there we go. Not to be for most of us. And then we didn't have anything good. I mean, yeah, well backed in, almost favourite, maybe was favourite, don't know, but nothing. So there you go, 380 back. So close but no cigar for most. Well done if you're on Sky Bet. Well done if you did if you did 365 extra markets, or there's other places you can do it for other various things. So for that kind of one, Paddy and Betfair, if you go top finish markets, it's win only on that, in terms of you're not doing each way, but I think it was, what was it, something like 8 to 1 top 5 I think you could have got from Paddy and Betfair last night. And it's those kind of things where sometimes if you can string them together, so if you give you an example, if you're backing that to finish in the top 5, and then you had something like Flyer which was second but it was 33 to 1 originally, you try and put those things together, and in a Dundalk race like that, you can usually get top 6. Those sorts of things over the years have done me right. It's a bit hard for me to get on doing those these days, but yeah, if you find the right days, and you have to be very, very patient to find the right days. But Ray de la Patala would have been an absolute marquee horse for me historically in a bet like that. All right, that's enough rambling on about a horse that made me no money. So, mate, I got a bit back on side markets personally, but yeah, in terms of generally, yes, that would have been a delightful day had that horse managed to snag third. Anywho, that's that. So that puts us now only £7 up for the month after being up in a really nice place at time. We're up 70 at some point. Now we're only up 7. So yeah, the last 6 vids have not been kind. So Thursday's bet. This is what I'm offering you. And that was the thing I was going to say about Wednesday as well. There was two of the one channel regular who Granary Queen, who didn't back, and I saw Susan being frustrated in the comments too, doing the same thing. Yeah, the day Granary Queen decides to go and win, it was a nice price, didn't have it. And then what was it? There's another one at Dundalk I backed last time for the channel, and then left it this time. And I look back, it was a bit of a drifter, to be fair, but Pick-a-Pool or something like that. Anyway, right, what we got? 220 Naas, Juno. We took that a couple of weeks ago and it placed nicely for us at 40 to 1. We are going to go and try our luck again on Juno. It's gone up a couple of pounds. It's an amateur jockey's race. And if you look at the bare form of the jockey, only ridden a couple of times under rules and not done anything, that does not bother me. So if you look, it's hard to find much about the jockey, but the jockey has an unusual surname, and there is another jockey that also has the same surname who's also ridden for Michael Winters and won a race off 3 times of trying. So if you actually look at his history of horses in amateur races, it's pretty good actually. So yeah, we're not put off by the pretty much unknown jockey in that race. So Juno 14 to 1. I've left the other 2 Naas races. I know they're decent field sizes. Most bookies are paying 5, but I didn't find anything for my read of it, so I've left it out. Then we're going for the 5:30 Chelmsford, which won't have caught many people's eyes, but I'm quite keen on Raki, and it's quite a bit of mileage in that price in Raki. It's a novice race or whatever, I don't know, but yeah, I just think in the context of that race, I think that horse has been priced up wrong. To be honest, I would probably put it about 6 to 1. I think it was about 6, yeah, about 6, 13 to 2 maybe. Whether it will change go to that price, not sure, but that's how I would have rated it on that race. So Raki is in, and then 8 o'clock Chelmsford XL Power 11 to 1. So those ones are no extra place races. So it's a 25p each way Trixie, and then 50p each way singles on the 3. Basically, at the moment, all bookies are 5, 3, and 3. Your best bet is probably 365, because if that 220 goes down to 15, 14 runners, 365 will still pay you 5th place. So 365 probably edges it if you're doing it night before, and then just keep an eye on the place terms. And that whole race is only an 8 runner, so if that one drops down a place to 7 runners, then I doubt any bookies are going to change their place terms. It will be two places only. So £5 is the one and only bet for Thursday. That is that. Right, now we're going to get into darts zone, and then we'll do tips of the league. Yeah, if you're not into the darts, feel free to skip. If you're interested in the darts, stay on the line. If you're not interested, but you're not sure if you're interested, I won't spend ages going on it. But I did bets last year for the PDC World Championships. We didn't come back with a profit, but we were pretty close to getting a big price in. This is what I've got for the channel. This is my £7 advisory. So we've got the main bet. Now, these are very bookie specific, because this is basically a bet that is pick a player to win each quarter. So that means they've got to get to the semi-finals. And I'm going against the favourites in each quarter to see, basically, and find a little bit of value. And they're not huge prices, some of these. Bottom one is. And there was another one I was umming with, and it was a big price, which I've in the end I'm like, I just think it's a bit too risky. That it shouldn't be as pricey, but I'll mention it, but I've left it out the bet. So winning quarters. Now, of the major bookies I'd normally talk about on the channel, the ones where you can place the Yankee bet are Paddy, Betfair, Betfred, and Betway. You can't do it on Sky, and you can't do it Corals, you can't do it Ladbrokes, and some of the others aren't necessarily either pricing up the darts in this way or favourable in the darts in this way. So the best bookie for the Yankee is Paddy and Betfair, unless you've got Betfred, because you can do it as Lucky 15 and you might get Lucky 15 bonus. Haven't checked if you get the bonus on the darts as you would on the horses. And then Betway. Those are the 4 to do the Yankee with. If you're doing singles, if you can't use any of those 4, then Corals and Ladbrokes are pretty favourable on single terms, but they won't let you put it on as an accumulator. Sky won't let you put it on as an accumulator. So it is bookie specific. Quarter 1, Chris Dobie 8 to 1. I just think in that quarter particularly, and you've got quite a lot of well-known players that have played well but have been a bit inconsistent, I think. Now, I didn't write any notes. I'm trying to think. I think this quarter it might be Johnny Clayton, Michael Smith. Yeah, is it maybe like Rob Cross in that one? There's basically some big time players in there, and I just think they were all a bit short because they're not necessarily been the most consistent this year. And I was looking at a really big price. There was a chap in there, Mario van der Bogengard, I think it is. And if you've got Sky, that would be the only place it might be worth doing. It's not in the plan, but Sky only 125 to 1 to win that quarter. It's an absolute punter on that one in terms of stuff. But he's played some decent darts this year, and most other places he's about 50s to 66s. 125 on Sky is quite good. But anyway, I've settled on Chris Dobie, who as the others is a bit inconsistent, but is much better price compared to some of the others. So Chris Dobie's in quarter one. Quarter two and quarter three, I was quite clear straight early doors on that. So quarter two, I think James Wade at 9s is nice. That's a nice price. Quarter three, Stephen Bunting, who is a little bit of a favourite of mine, and he almost did the business for us last year and get into the semis. So Stephen Bunting's in for quarter three at 9, and the big price in there, which I think is definitely of the four of them, it's the biggest price, but it's also the most value. Gabriel Clemens. He's got a bit of a history of turning on in some of the big tournaments. In between times, not as great, but in the big tournaments, he seems to do okay. And for 33s, I think that's well worth including in the bet. So what I've done it as, for the £6 bet, 25p win Yankee. So that would be £2.75. 45p win double on what I think are the best two from a value perspective. So that takes it up to 320. And then 70p win singles. Now, the way that's designed is if any one of those four make it to the semis, there is at least a very small profit made. If we get any two of those, we're an absolute business. 3 or 4 of them would be over the moon. So that's the way the bet is designed. So any one there. If we get none of them, then you lose £6 if you've done it at £6. So that's the main bet for the tournament. And then the other one I like the look of, and it's this Coral Labrick specific, because not all bookmakers have priced this up, but name the finalists. Humphreys and Wade at 66 to 1. Most bookies have gone 40s on that, and I think there's a ton of value in 66s. I think 40s is okay, but 66s that you can get on Coral and Labrooks. If you've got Coral and Labrooks, or you can go into a Coral and Labrooks shop, from a staking plan point of view, that is worth £1 in channel staking terms, on Luke Humphreys and James Wade being the finalists at 66 to 1. There's a whole bunch of different variations on those. You can get lost and spend all sorts of money. It's not a market I play in loads, but it caught my eye because Luke Humphreys is basically favourite to win, and because he's the form player going into the tournament. And James Wade is sort of just a little bit forgotten about because he's had a few spells of just being a bit down and out with his darts, and then other times he plays well. But he's a really top quality player. So yeah, I think that was a good bet for 66 to 1. So that is the darts. If you want it, that is it. I have had to think about, because personally what I'll be doing on the darts is I'll be looking each couple of days to see if I can string together some match accumulators, but it's not the same type of value betting as what I would do on the channel, and I did a little bit I think last year, and it's the kind of thing I've put out very occasionally on tennis, and I came to the conclusion it's something I do, but you can only do certain things in certain bookmakers, and you're not looking at the same. It's not for the people who like the channel, who like, trying to get 150 to 1 shot in the frame on the horses. It's not the same when you're trying to string a bunch of darts matches together, but trying to basically work through the form to see where there's value in some of those darts. When value on an 8 to 11 is not the, people aren't going to get excited on the channel because you have to string these things together. Anywho, that's the kind of stuff I should be exploring myself next couple of weeks. That's the darts. golf starts in the morning. Well, early hours. The tournament starts. So our man Oliver Becker's not out till 8:20 in the morning, so he's one of the later ones out. Tipster League. Okay, Tipster League. Quite weak Tipster League wise. So there was an 18-1 winner, Chambard. No one on the channel backed it. My dad did. Didn't have anything with it though, bless him. He had a single, but he goes big on the accumulators, where he goes trebles and doubles, and only small on the singles. Keep trying to teach him. And then we had La Patronne, I think, was 16-1. So we had an 18s and a 16-1 winner. And unless Stephen King, stat extraordinaire man, can correct me, I don't think we've had a week of Tipster League having 2 double prize winners that nobody was on. Most double prize winners since Tipster League started, people have been on. I don't recall a week where the 2 double prices nobody was on either. And interesting, that weren't neither big field. I mean, La Patronne was a bit of an upset in a smaller field race, but Chambard was gettable, I think. But yeah, no one was on those. Next best price winner was 9-1. Not So Sleepy in the first race on TV. Ian went and stole the week, didn't he? He put his full 10 points on Not So Sleepy, which, to be fair, I was a bit frustrated because I looked at it and I thought, do you know what, Ian, I think that's a good bet. And I don't know why I didn't put it in my win Trixie for the channel, because I was looking at all sorts on that race. So well done, Ian. Ian Todd, regular on the channel, won last week, £10 on Not So Sleepy. So it was £90 profit, absolute clear winner. We had Steve Mitchell, second, 27.50. Derek in the top 10 again, 21.20. And then we had Zach Devereaux, John P3, 5,500. Adam Sassat, Susan, Robin Wilson, and all the way down to Alex Jackson was the 9th person to make profit with 20 pence. But that was better than losing £10, which is what 31 of the 50 entrants did do last week. So overall for the top 10 people are the same. There's a little bit of movement within the top 10, but the top 10 people are the same. Last week's top 2 that surged in, Owl and James, didn't play the weekend. And then the top couple of people lost £10. So we've got Secret Lemonade Drinker still clearly at the top, 243. Samar Kevin still number 2, 175. Al Plevy is now, didn't play last week, but moved above Des because Des played and lost his £10. So Des is down to 4th. James Patterson 5th. And then we've got a very close little trio. Robin Wilson, Robin A, Drawman, John P, 3,500, and then Alex Powell. That is the current top 10 rolling on into third week of December. So we've got 3 more weeks of the year. So what we'll do is we've got our 3 Saturdays to go. So we'll find out a December winner, and then at the end of that we'll find out who is the inaugural 2023 annual champion, albeit we haven't been playing all year long, but whoever is top after the next 3 weeks will be the 2023 champion, and they will win nothing more than the glory of being the champion in a free to enter competition. That is it. But for some people that is enough bragging rights. That's all you need. The point here is, I just originally set this Tipster League up with a little bit of an interest. It takes a bit of time, and I'm very, very grateful as always to Stephen, because he provides some great stuff for me. But yeah, I know people do these things to get more views and clicks and stuff like that. Not what it was about. Not what it was about. I just thought it'd be a little bit of interesting, because a lot of people put their own tips in the selections, and we'll have a little bit of little bants and a little bit of that. But people are really supportive of each other, which is great. Maybe I'll have a think about. It might be going to be a lot of typing out, but I'll think about how we might be able to kind of put down a league table for the whole of the year, maybe at the end, to show everybody in profit. So maybe not every single person. If you want to physically know at the end of the year how much you're on and you're not in profit, then between Steve and I we can tell you. But yeah, maybe at the end of the year I'll actually do a list of every single person who's finished the year on some level of profit in the Tipster League, so not just the top 10. All right. I think that's it. I think I've covered everything. There was a lot of different stuff on the vid. So we'll see what we've got Friday. Dundalk looks good on Friday in terms of, I think it's 5 possible handicaps to play with on Friday for Dundalk. So it's going to be a bit of an all-weathery fest, I think, on Friday. And then we'll see what the jumps is looking like, what the ground is looking like for Saturday. At the moment, not planning any bonus vids for Sunday, Monday. Not looking anything particularly exciting, but it's one of those ones that if I find literally 2 horses at massive prices, I'll put them in. That was actually the other thing I was going to mention. Big prices overall, because we've had a few in the last few weeks now of quite big ones. Obviously, there's 150 to 1ers that have been either framing or nearly framing in the last few weeks. There's been I think maybe three, like two nearlies and one placing, one out the placing, and one place for something like that. Anyway, and it made me think. I was like, remembering last year, there was a particular month where the big prices came to the fore, and I went back and I was like, was it December? Sure enough, it was. December was our month last year. So for those of you who've been around long enough, you remember I did a bit of a kind of dive into the stats of bigger prices at the end of the year, beginning of this year, and December was the month. So last December, there was 7 25 to 1 upwards winners on the channel. And more of them as well. Interestingly, I don't think I said this at the time. More of them were in Ireland than they were in the UK. I don't think that's specific. It was because I think at least 3 of them were Dundalk, I think. But yeah, we had 7 25 to 1 plus winners in the month of December last year, as well as 12 places at 25 to 1 or more, and some of those were some quite big prices as well. So yeah, I just want to keep an eye on, really. I mean, obviously not going to happen on Thursday with 11s and 14 to 1 shots, but it was interesting to sort of see if whether that's a theme that's going to carry on through December or not. I haven't really got massive explanation of why that might be the case. Of big prices or not, because it's hard with Dundalk. Actually, I was going to just mention this as a bit of amusing. The price movement is quite extraordinary sometimes. Like if I did the channel, and I'd say this about some meetings, but Dundalk particularly, if I did the channel video at 11 o'clock in the morning as opposed to 11 o'clock at night or whatever, the Dundalk selections could look completely different. The market's changed so much. And some of the ones I put out for yesterday drifted and then came right back in. Like Cherry Bloom went out to 20s and then went right in at some point to 7s or something like that. It's amazing how much the fluctuation goes. I remember seeing there was a horse run Dundalk, Bucky Larson, and I when I looked at the form of the race, I actually ranked it as the most likely winner of the race, but it was 5 to 1 last night. And then at some point in the day, I looked and it had gone to 9s. And I was like, if it was 9s, I'd probably put it in the channel. And then I think the SP was about 5s. I think it's amazing the fluctuation that you get. It's one of those ones where if you pay attention and you've got time and you write your own book around, and you write your own prices of what you think it should be, you can end up back in easy half the field in some of those races, but at different points within the 12 hours up until the race, because you'd be on value on half of those races. Anyway, half those horses. I don't know what I'm saying. I got a bit tired. Right, I'm off to bed. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with some more Dundalkers, and we'll see how our three interests go for Thursday. Thank you very much. See you on the other side. Bye bye.